everybody. It's Drags. It's Wednesday, January 16th. Time for episode 280 of Patriots Beat on the CLNS Media Network. Find us at clnsmedia.com. And, of course, follow us on Twitter at Patriots CLNS. It's on to Kansas City. It's championship week, specifically AFC championship week, a place the Patriots have been now for an amazing and record-setting 8 straight years. Will the Pats conquer Patrick Mahomes, Tyreek Hill, Arrowhead Stadium, and all the winter elements to reach their third straight Super Bowl and 11th in franchise history? What about Tom Brady at Arrowhead? Everybody remembers he was beaten badly back in September 2014, 41-14. He also lost badly in 2005. That day, he was 22 of 40, picked off 4 times in a 26-16 loss. Or will the road again prove to be too much for the Patriots to handle? After beating the Steelers in 2001 and 2004, they have lost their last 3 AFC championship games on the road, at Indy, of course, in 2006, and that incredible Peyton Manning come-from-behind effort in the second half, and, of course, in Denver twice in 2013 and 2015. Really, it's all about how they handle the elements. Here to discuss all of that, and backed by popular demand, including me, is Will Bendetson. He covers the Patriots for the Sports Exchange. You can follow him on Twitter at PatriotsMaven or online at the website footballmaven.io/Patriots. Will, how are you?
I'm doing well, Trags. Good to be on with you.
It's great to have you back. You were on a couple of weeks ago during the bye week, and really loved your insight and your energy. And right to it, I want to get a feeling from you. We all know why the Patriots are underdogs in this spot, but why should Patriot fans be optimistic this week?
Reasons to be optimistic. Well, I think the secondary is as playing as – I mean, look, the defense is as playing as well as it has all year. So, that's the reason. And, that the defense plays like it does against the Chargers. Now, look, it's a different challenge. The Chargers don't have a receiver, I think, close to as good, and without disrespect to Keenan Allen, as Tyreek Hill, or a tight end like Travis Kelce. But, they got a lot of pass rush last week. I think most impressive was the linebackers. Hightower had 8 quarterback pressures. So, It's those are the reasons. Van Noy's playing well, and obviously the secondary continues to play well. After the long touchdown pass from Phillip Rivers to Keenan Allen, Stephon Gilmore shot out Allen the rest of the way. So that's as good as you can get. And the J.C. Jackson's playing well. Can't throw the deep ball against him. And so I think the reason to be optimistic is the defense.
Well, and you bring that up, Will, and the Patriots on the road, everybody knows their defense has not traveled well at all this year, and that's got to change on Sunday. The last road game that they played was in Pittsburgh, and that was the game in which the secondary played great, but up front they did not, and they got blown out, really blown off the ball, and the Steelers were able to run the ball in that game, and that cannot happen this weekend.
I agree with that. They played well overall against the pass, Steelers, and against the pass, but against the run, I think they really struggled. I think Jalen Samuel is really their third string running back at 160-yard rushing. And look, the Chiefs really haven't missed a beat with their running game since Kareem Hunt left.
Right.
So, that's something they're going to have to be mindful of. And I said, I asked Belichick about this today. I think the big thing is just get a lead, because the Chiefs' run defense is very weak. And the way the Patriots are running the ball is good. But if the Chiefs get up 14-0, then the run game sort of goes away. So the Patriots' ability to run the ball. So that's the key right there, which is that don't let the Chiefs get a lead, because what the Chiefs want to do is get a lead and then have Dee Ford and Justin Houston, they're 2 really good pass rushers, tee off against Tom Brady.
And that's what they did against Andrew Luck. They were up 17-0 in the blink of an eye last Saturday at Arrowhead. And, that game to me, Will, and I'm sure you watched it, it was a hard one for me to read because the Chiefs got up so fast. I just wonder if instinctively they took the foot off the gas a little bit and just let their defense tee off against Andrew Luck, or was the Chiefs' offense a little befuddled in the second half? Because I'll tell you what, that Chiefs' offense in the second half did not scare me at all.
Yeah, no, they certainly didn't do much in the second half, and I don't know what it is. I mean, look, the Chiefs haven't played that well the last few weeks of the regular season. Yeah, they blew out Oakland. They lost to the Chargers at the last minute. It's not like it's been great, and I do think their offense has slowed down a little bit, which usually happens this time of year. Obviously, it's colder outside. Your offensive players are more beat up. But, I think that this offense, which scored 40 points, here in Foxborough, it can be slowed down. Now, I don't know whether you trust the Patriots defense or not. As you said, it doesn't travel well. I just think that, Mahomes is playing really well. And, yeah, you can look at the numbers, but it seems to be that he, when the Chiefs need a win, they get it. And I think that's the big thing. He even played well in their loss to Seattle late in the season. The defense didn't play well. So, but look, as I said, the Patriots don't really have the weapons to come from behind. It's not their game at this point. And also this is the first time the Chiefs have ever hosted an AFC championship game. They haven't been to a Super Bowl since 1970 in Super Bowl IV. So the crowd will be very amped up, and you want to take the crowd out of the game, not get them more amped up.
Absolutely. And I thought the crowd was pretty good, in that October game at Gillette Stadium. What do you remember the most about the two halves of that game? The Patriots defensively were as good, I think, as they've played all year long in that first half in terms of containing a high-powered offense. And then in the second half, what changed?
Yeah, I mean, the second half, Tyreek Hill didn't do much in the first half in that game. I think he only had one catch. I don't have the stats in front of me, but in the second half he went off. I think he finished the game with 3 touchdowns, including the tying touchdown where he caught about a 10-yard slant and then ran about another 70, and Deron Harmon's fast, and he outran him by a lot. So, Hill can come alive. I think the interesting thing is I think the Chiefs only had the ball like 20 minutes that game. Don't forget they got a long kickoff return to the 3. They scored a touchdown there. They scored a long touchdown at the beginning of the second half too. I think it was on a screen pass to Kareem Hunt. So the Chiefs definitely are got big plays in that game, and I think that's what Belichick looks to prevent them. And the other thing was, if you remember, at the end of the first half in that game, Mahomes threw an interception, and he threw it into triple coverage. I think you want to make Mahomes take away his first read, get him to his second and third read, and that's what Belichick likes to do with young quarterbacks.
Yeah, and going over, I do have the stats in front of me. Tyreek Hill had 12 targets that night, but only 7 catches. I say only 7, and one of them was a 75-yarder, and he had 3 touchdowns. He was a beast in that game.
Yeah, and most of those catches came in the second half.
Right.
I think he only had one. If you look at the stats, one catch, and he was not much of a factor in the first half in that game.
Yeah, and
if memory serves me correctly.
And I just, not having Kareem Hunt is a big deal, I think, for the Patriots in terms of somebody they don't really have to be that concerned or won't have to concern themselves with this Sunday. But what about the backup running backs in this game?
No, I mean, I think Ian Williams and the other running back is good. I mean, the running game hasn't been a problem. It was good last week. So, I mean, look, I think the Patriots are going to have to play some man coverage. I was concerned about the Colts last week in those zones. I mean, your zones, essentially you're conceding the catch and hoping the guy makes the tackle. Well, with Tyreek Hill, he can elude you. Kelsey will find the holes in the zone. I think they're going to have to play some man coverage. I wouldn't be surprised if Belichick plays mostly man. The question is who covers Tyreek Hill. Do you trust Gilmore to go one-on-one with him and his speed? They really didn't do that in the last game, if I remember right. Sammy Watkins, they had Gilmore on Watkins. He took him away. So they could do that and then bracket Hill with Jason McCourty and a safety over the top or with Jackson. So, I don't know if I like Jackson on Hill because he'll take some chances, and you don't want to really take chances with Hill. And then Kelsey, I think it's a big Patrick Chung game. That's his strength, covering the tight end. So they try to get Chung physical at the line of scrimmage with Kelsey.
Speaking with Will Bendetson, terrific Patriots beat reporter for the Sports Exchange. You can follow him on Twitter at Patriots Maven, all one word. You know who had a good game in that first contest between the Patriots and Chiefs, Will, for the Patriots offensively? Receiving?
Well, I was thinking defense, and I was going to say Dante Hightower. I thought he had one of his better games, but until this week. Offensively, Josh Gordon might have had a good game.
He had 5 catches on 9 targets for 42 yards. He was not the guy I'm thinking of. Rob Gronkowski had 3 catches on 4 targets, 97 yards, including a 42-yarder, and Chris Hogan had 4 catches.
Well, the thing with Gronk, I think, wait a second. The thing with Gronk in that game was that they really shut him out for most of the game. On the Patriots' final offensive play, for whatever reason, I thought maybe the silliest decision of the season, the Chiefs' defensive coordinator, Bob Sutton, decided to put Josh Shaw, their third safety, on Gronkowski one-on-one. Gronk had the big catch and for 40 yards, I think it was.
Yes,
and that got
he
him
did.
a field goal range. And they had really doubled Gronk and taken him away all game. I know he had 3 catches, but the other 2 hadn't really hurt them. And the Patriots were in an interesting situation in that final drive because they wanted to try to win the game, but they also feared giving back the ball to Kansas City. So Brady was kind of slow, and they were at midfield, and then he took a chance down the field to Gronk when he saw the one-on-one coverage. I didn't understand why in the biggest play of the game they leave Gronk one-on-one. And I think that's the other advantage the Patriots have in this game, coaching. Andy Reid's always struggled in the big games against the best teams with some questionable decisions, clock management issues. So if it's close late, you have to like the Patriots because they will, I think, outcoach the Chiefs. I think they have, Belichick's the best in-game coach in the league. I've had several people around the league tell me that. So you have to like their chances there. That said, as I said, it's going to be really cold. The latest forecast now has it at -1 degrees when it kicks off 5:40 their time. So, I don't know who that helps or hurts, but it is going to be awful cold outside.
Speaking of out-coaching, let's go back and talk a little bit about how the Patriots completely dismantled, the Chargers on Sunday at Gillette Stadium. And can you explain to me why Gus Bradley stayed in a cover 3 zone and allowed Tom Brady to carve him up in the first half? Look, you watch enough football and you watch the X's and O's along with myself and obviously Evan Lazar. I could not understand why they were staying in the zone.
Again, I wrote last week, this is in hindsight, I said they're going to have to play man. Brady carves up the cover 3 zone. I'm not sure. There are some coaches, and I guess I think Bradley's in one of them, play what you play, and
right.
That's it. But I don't know. I think, zone defense in all sports, whether it's basketball or football, I'm not a huge fan of because you're leaving holes. And I think man-to-man defense is better. I like the idea of a player covering a player, not a certain area when the player's there. So, and that's what zone defense is no matter what sport it is. So, obviously there's variations, cover 2, cover 3, cover 4, but the principle is the same. And the thing with the cover 3 is it's weak against the run, partially because he has 6 and 7 defensive backs. And part of that he was forced into because their 2 best linebackers weren't healthy. They didn't really have much of a linebacker. So it was weak against the run. The Patriots were able to run. Look, I didn't think, and the thing with the cover 3, it takes away all the deep places. So, it's susceptible to the slant routes. I didn't think Edelman had 9 catches for 154 yards, but some of that was he caught the ball and they just didn't tackle him well. So I didn't think he killed them in the sense that he was getting wide open. He's getting open for 6 yards and then he's running another 10, So, and look, Edelman's a good receiver. He finds the creases. I don't want to take anything away from him, but you have to ask yourself if you're the Chargers. If you're playing the Patriots right now, the first job is really to take away Edelman. He's by far their biggest threat in the passing game. And then also, they're going to run the ball and with Sony Michel. And the other weakness why I think playing the cover 3 makes no sense is you end up with James White on a weak side linebacker, and that's why he had 15 catches. So they didn't end up taking away White or Edelman or Michel. And those are, White, Edelman, and Michel, I think, are the 3 best weapons. With Gronk likely to retire at the end of the year. So I think, what did the Chargers accomplish? At least if they came out of the game saying, well, we took away Edelman, but Michel beat us. They didn't take, and that's what Belichick does. He tries to take away whatever your best weapon is and make you win another way. It's like, it's just baffling the Chargers game plan. Because you think they would have tried to dedicate themselves to take something away. Instead, they took nothing away, played their standard defense, maybe because they were confident the week before against Baltimore, but I thought really the coaching there was baffling.
It was indeed. But from what you know about Bob Sutton, what can we expect from the Chiefs defensively on Sunday, and how much of what the Patriots did against the Chargers, Will, do you think translates to this Sunday?
I think Sutton plays, some cover twos, some man. If I remember right, I haven't, studied it. He's not a fancy. It's not going to be a lot of exotic blitzes. I mean, he's pretty vanilla defense. They've got Houston, and remember Justin Houston didn't play in the game here. Neither did Eric Berry. Berry didn't play last week. I don't know if he plays this week. Houston will play. Houston and D Ford, and those guys. He wants that. He doesn't want to outthink himself. He wants those guys to rush the passer, and that's the bottom line. And so he wants them to rush the passer. I think that they're really good corners. Kendall Fuller, maybe he tries to get him up on Edelman. And I think maybe he'll learn last week that playing zone against Brady doesn't work. Dick LeBeau finally learned that after about 6 times. He was defensive coordinator with the Steelers for many years. Finally, in the 2011 regular season game, he played man and the Steelers won. But, yeah, I mean, I just think Brady, I think he has many great skills, obviously, but I think his 2 greatest skills are that nobody can recognize a blitz coming and adjust better than Brady, and 2, nobody's better against the zone than Brady. So, I think you don't want to play into his hands. Now, if I was playing Brady, I think Sutton would. I think creatively, as Rex Ryan at times showed, blitzing. But, you look at the teams that have had the most success, like the Giants in the 2007 Super Bowl, they did it getting there with 4 guys. So, I don't expect anything exotic from Bob Sutton. And, again, occasionally a baffling decision like with Gronk at the end of the game.
So, I don't know if you felt this way watching the Chiefs game on Saturday against the Colts, but watching, the likes of Justin Houston and D Ford tee off on Andrew Luck was really impressive. I mean, they showed their speed. What I'm wondering is, with the crowd noise, which it's going to be loud, at the start of the game, we don't know much about how the game's going to unfold. One thing we do know, at the start of the game, it is going to be as loud as any stadium in the National Football League. I mean, it already has that reputation. And I thought back to the 2015 AFC Championship game when Von Miller and DeMarcus Ware were getting off the snap, timing it perfectly and beating Brady, into the ground. And that is what I think the Patriots cannot afford to have happen.
Yeah, I agree with you. I mean, I think they want to get good pass rush. I mean, they can't let Ford and Houston tee off on them, and I think that's clear.
Yeah, I would think so, Will. And that's where, I think they're much more equipped to handle, winning on the road, or at least, making it competitive, that they didn't have 3 years ago, and that's the run game, right? And, Sony Michel and James White, the great James White, as you, refer to him as, a little inside story.
But I even put a capital letter before great. It's like a title,
No.
The great James White.
Okay, the inside story. We got to tell this, Will. You were the one who suggested to Tom Brady was it after the Jacksonville game?
No, after the Detroit game. After the Sunday night loss in Detroit, I asked Tom Brady.
Yes.
I said, "Don't you need to go to White more?" Because they had only 1 touchdown in that game, and White had caught it. And I didn't look. The first 4 games, the Patriots essentially had no receivers. They had 3 active receivers: Patterson, Hogan, and Dorsett. None of them ended up turning out to have a big role at receiver. When Edelman came back and Josh Gordon, Dorsett has come on a little, but and he said I was right. They needed to get White more involved. I didn't understand why in that Detroit game they didn't get White more involved. I think Josh McDaniels had a very good season. I think that's one game plan he might regret more. They just were so limited at receiver, and they had Gronkowski, but the Lions were taking him away, doubling him, and obviously we now know he's not the Gronk of old.
No, but again, they don't have the same old Gronk, but they do have Sony Michel. And when I asked you a little while ago what translates, I was wondering specifically if you think the running game that the Patriots showed with Sony Michel will translate this Sunday in Kansas City. I mean, whether or not the field is, it won't be frozen.
I don't know, Mike. It's interesting. I don't know why this Chiefs team reminds me. unfortunately, for the Patriots. But 2006, the Indianapolis Colts had historically, I think, one of the worst run defenses in NFL history. And part of it was they got Bob Sanders back in the playoffs. But they fixed the run defense in the playoffs. It didn't kill them, and they won the Super Bowl. You know, last week, the Chiefs' run defense, which has been better at home, was better. You know, I don't know if they fixed it for the next two games if they win Sunday, but maybe they have. I don't know. You know, I mean, sometimes run defense is just about getting off blocks. You start playing better. I don't know if they fixed it or not. I mean, look, for the long term, I think they need to get better. I mean, Jones is good, Chris Jones, but, you know, for the long term, the next year, I think when they go in, they're going to try to get some players to improve their run defense. Can they get a muster up enough to win two more games? Maybe. You know, it's not like I think if they get to the Super Bowl against the Saints, they'll run all over them. But if they get against the Rams, you know, with Gurley and C.J. Anderson, I think that could be a real challenge for them. I think if you're the Chiefs and you win, you'd prefer to play the Saints.
I thought Gronk had a great game or a very good game, a very unheralded game in run blocking on Sunday, didn't you?
I did too. I thought he blocked well, and I think that's an asset. He's still a good blocker. I agreed with Jeff Howe earlier in the year. I think some of his blocking had dipped off a little in the Minnesota game. But, yeah, I mean, I think if there's one reason they won the Chargers game, forgetting scheme, was they really dominated the line of scrimmage, both their offensive and defensive line. And, you know, there's no easier way to win doing that. And, you know, they went with 21 personnel, which means two running backs, one fullback. And they got Devlin on on some cornerbacks. And that was good. No question about it. And they should be happy about that they played well. Their offensive line played very, very well. I thought Marcus Cannon had a good game. Yep. Melvin Ingram, one deflection, but he and both essentially disappeared. So
I got to tell you, I think the Patriots have a really good chance of winning this game. If they abide by the golden rule of not turning the ball over on the road and not committing stupid penalties.
Yeah.
And also not committing false starts in like third and short, where they have a chance to get a first down and, Trent Brown or Marcus Cannon. You got to watch the tackles, right? In a game with crowd noise like this, that they don't, get a head start on the snap and cost the team.
Well, but the other thing too, in the false starts, people made a big deal about the false starts and the holdings in Pittsburgh. But part of that was the Steelers have a really good pass rush, so the holds were a couple times they were beat and they held. And the false starts was a factor of the crowd noise, and you're nervous sometimes when you're getting beat. So if they're getting beat, I think more of the penalties, if I remember right, against Pittsburgh came in the second half. So, that's the thing. I mean, if they're down in the second half, that could be problematic, because Kansas City will be in a feeding frenzy.
Well, and we come back again to the crowd. And look, I wrote today about how, we shouldn't make Arrowhead, or the mystique of Arrowhead out to be something it's not. And because, what people don't realize, Will, before the Colts won, the last 6 visiting teams, in a postseason game won at Arrowhead. And I just think that Bill Belichick is not.
No, I agree with that. But the one difference is Mahomes. The Chiefs have been woeful at home in the playoffs. You correctly point out 6 straight losses at home. They hadn't won a home playoff game since '93. But a lot of that was they were substantially disadvantaged in the quarterback play. In '97 they got upset. I think Elvis Grbac was their quarterback. Denver had John Elway.
Yeah.
In 2003, they lost in the divisional round to the Colts. That they might have had, I don't know who they had, Damon Ewert or somebody, but whoever they had was substantially inferior to Peyton Manning. I mean, last year they blew a home game at the wild card up 21-3 to Tennessee, which was sort of inexcusable. But I just think with Mahomes, it's different. I know they have their home playoff ghosts. There's no question. And I don't know how much finally getting that playoff win last week helps them. Because now I don't think they think about it. They think, look, we got a home playoff win. Let's just go play. So, as I say, I don't think that's a big factor. I thought it was a bigger factor last week, actually, because they hadn't won. Now that they've won a home playoff game, that sort of streak is over with. You know what I'm saying? So I think they just move on from that and say, let's go play.
And my only point was, and I had the chance to ask Belichick, McDaniels, and Steve Belichick this on the Monday conference call, is you've got to keep your poise on the road, and that whatever is happening with the crowd really should not impact the way you're playing the game. And while in reality that may seem like pie in the sky, he's trying to convince his players, as Bill Parcells once said, don't give your players or coaches a reason to lose because they'll take it, right? Well, Belichick is not giving his players or coaches the excuse of Arrowhead Stadium. And that's kind of why I'm saying the Patriots are trying to downplay any aura or mystique about Arrowhead Stadium going into this week.
I agree. I think the one thing that helps the Chiefs is that, Mahomes doesn't have all that baggage. He hasn't been there, so he plays loose, which I think is better in a big game. You know what I'm saying? As opposed to some of these other quarterbacks that has playoff disappointments and Mahomes doesn't have any playoff disappointments. Even Andy Reid, so that can be better. A guy like Mahomes just plays loose. And I think that could help them. But, yeah, you're right. I mean, Belichick's going to tell them, not to let Arrowhead get in their head. But, look, there's no way. I mean, I understand Belichick's telling them that. But it's still, once they get out there and it's 1 degree and the crowd is as loud as it is, I mean, it's still a little intimidating. I don't care who you are. Now, that said, these guys are all professional players. They've played it. Not a single player that's going to be active on Sunday hasn't played in a hostile environment. So they're used to it. But that still doesn't make it easy. Does that make sense?
It does, and I'm going to finish this up by asking you who you like on Sunday.
I don't like to be the doomsday at the party. I don't know. I like the Chiefs. I think that just the way they're playing against the Colts, as I said, the big weakness is the run defense, and I think the Patriots are going to have to start fast on the road, and I just don't know if I trust them to do that. They really haven't started on fast on the road at all this year. Even against Buffalo, they were up 12-6. It was a competitive game. The Jets, until they put them away late. So I just don't trust them to start fast. I'm not buying into the Kansas City mystique, but I somehow think they get up for this game and they know this is their best chance to go to the Super Bowl since 1970, and they win. That said, I think it will be, I think the Patriots put up a fight. I don't know. I just don't trust the Patriots defense enough. I was critical of the defense earlier in the year, the pass rush, the secondary has gotten better.
Right.
But, I guess that's the reason I'm predicting the Chiefs is Mahomes. He's really impressed me. His poise, the moment doesn't seem to get too big for him. Now, the drawback is he made that decision here at the end of the first half. He threw it into triple coverage, gave up a field goal. That's the difference in the game. But he just seems relaxed and poised, and I think that's what it is. And I think they have a big play capability. But as I said, I think the Patriots put up a fight. The other concern I have is that I think the Chiefs looked really good in the run game last week. They didn't let Mac run all over them, so it makes me nervous that the run defense is fixed, and not fixed, but playing better enough where Sony Michel can't run all over them. Maybe the Chargers game he did, and I think he essentially won them the game. He had 24 rushes, 130 yards, 3 touchdowns, but how many other games has it really been that Sony Michel has won them the game this year? So we'll see. I think that but if I had to predict a score, I'd probably say Chiefs 31, Patriots 20, but I could be wrong. Although this year I've been 14-3 so far. I don't do it with the line, just predicting games. I don't know how I've done with the line. I don't usually check the line.
And Will, I'm going to go on record. I like the Patriots 31-27. I think they're going to find a way to score points against this.
You think they could score, though, 31 given their at receiver? And I know they scored 41 last week, and maybe I'm underselling them. Maybe I'm too much buying their deficiencies on the road.
I think this is going to blow your mind. I think they're going to score a touchdown on defense, and I think they're going to score one on special teams. I think they're going to do that.
There you go.
And I think that's going to.
Do they give up one on special teams? Because last in the game here, they essentially did. I mean,
the 95-yard
returned
return.
It to the 3-yard line, so which they got a touchdown on. But I don't know. Yeah, it's going to be a good game. You're going out to Kansas City?
I am, and I'll be there with my colleague Evan Lazar.
Are you excited?
I am very excited. Arrowhead Stadium.
Now, have you been to this stadium before?
I have not. It's on my bucket list. I have heard. I've heard it is among the very best sports venues in the country. It is just electric.
Well, you weren't there for the 2014 game when everyone said the dynasty was over?
I was not there for, are you reevaluating your quarterback position, courtesy Mike Giardi of now the NFL Network? No, I was not there post-game. So
yeah, that was pretty good. I mean, I think that's the last time they played in Kansas City.
It is, and certainly it's fresh in everyone's mind, including every Patriot fans. Well, I want to thank you again for taking the time out to join us. I want to thank everyone for downloading today's podcast. I want to thank our terrific guests.
You're not angry with me, Trags, are you?
I am not angry. Will, how could I ever be angry with you? You are like
I wanted to make sure. You know, you sounded a little flummoxed there at the end.
Oh, come on.
Okay. You know, Will, I hope your listeners love me.
How often do I bust your balls at Gillette? A lot, right? A lot.
Yeah, well, used to the last time I was there even more.
Oh.
You know, but you were a little younger then, and you've grown up. I've worn on you, and now you like me even better.
I do, Will.
You know?
And more importantly, I think our
audience...
audience...
Trax was an influence. He told me when I was in law school how good the journalism business was, so... I listened, and now I'm back doing it.
And making pennies and dimes, I know. Thanks, Will.
Listen, life advice with Trags, you know?
Want to thank our terrific guest, Will Bendetson, outstanding writer for covering the Patriots for the Sports Exchange, at footballmaven.io. Follow him on Twitter, at PatriotsMaven. For producer Michael Angi and the founder of the network, Nick Gelso, this is Mike Petralia, and this has been the Patriots Beat podcast, powered by CLNS Media.
Hello, I'm Dan Lothian, host of the Behind the Media podcast on the CLNS Media Network. Along with Jimmy Young, we dive into the biggest media headlines each week with honest, informed, and sometimes irreverent perspectives. It's not all serious. We deliver information and entertainment. As we like to say on Behind the Media, we find the interesting in media so you don't have to go searching for it. Listen to our podcast and get prepped for the next trip to the water cooler. Subscribe to Behind the Media wherever you get your podcast or find us on www.clnsmedia.com.